Welcome back to Buy or Buy. Today, we're looking at the 2006 to 2011 Cadillac DTS, the DeVille Touring Sedan. This is actually the last front-wheel drive Northstar V8 Cadillac, and get this, it's the only $40,000 luxury sedan of its era that still rocked a 4-speed automatic. We're talking 4-door sedan only. 4.6-liter Northstar V8 mounted completely sideways. The 4-speed 4T80E automatic. Front-wheel drive. All built right at Detroit Hamtramck. Spanning 6 model years, 2 Northstar variants, and it literally became the last Northstar V8 ever produced when the engine finally died in July 2011.
275 horsepower base, 292 if you snag the Performance Package, 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, a 4-speed automatic in a 2011 luxury sedan. 41 grand brand new, 5 grand used today, head bolts that literally pull right out from the block. The last Northstar V8 ever made. Section 1. Who and cross-shop. Okay, let's dive into this. Who is actually hunting for this vehicle on the used market today? Well, you're looking at Cadillac DeVille loyalists who specifically wanted front-wheel drive and those old-school split bench seats. You've got used market value hunters spotting these massive luxury barges sitting there for just $4,000 to $8,000. Livery operators who are looking for cheap DTS-L long-wheelbase variants. Retirees, people seeking that incredibly soft American luxury without having to learn all the complex infotainment systems in a Lexus. Plus, Northstar V8 sound enthusiasts and, let's be real, anyone who already owns a Northstar mechanic.
But hey, these buyers aren't shopping in a vacuum, right? The alternatives are honestly formidable. You've got the Lincoln Town car from this exact same era, representing that bulletproof, body-on-frame Panther alternative. You've got the Chrysler 300C Hemi, bringing modern rear-wheel drive muscle to the table. Then there's the Buick Lucerne, which is its sister GMG platform car, running the exact same Northstar. The Cadillac STS, a rear-wheel drive Sigma platform sibling with a longitudinal Northstar layout. And of course, you've got the Lexus LS460, representing your completely bulletproof, stress-free Japanese alternative.
Bottom line, whether you already own a Northstar mechanic or you just want that soft American luxury, the competition here is fierce.
Moving on to Section 2, the gems. Let's put this car on a pedestal for a minute and look at what actually makes it special. The 2006 to 2011 DTS really cemented that classic, sharp Cadillac art and science styling era. It successfully retired the aging DeVille nameplate, and man, it carried a real sense of Detroit heritage that is just super hard to replicate today.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the totally unusual transverse sideways-mounted front-wheel drive V8 layout paired up with a McPherson strut front and multi-link rear suspension. The 4.6-liter Northstar comes in 2 very distinct flavors here. First, the LD8 Standard gives you 275 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of high torque twist. Then, there's the L37 Performance Package, pushing out 292 horsepower and 288 pound-feet of torque. It was this highly engineered, all-aluminum double overhead cam engine that revved absolutely beautifully within that 115.6-inch standard wheelbase, or, if you got the big one, the massive 123.6-inch DTS-L stretch frame.
And the used market economics? Fascinating. This car launched at exactly $41,195 back in 2006 and climbed well past $48,000 for a loaded 2011 Platinum trim. But flash forward to the 2026 used market, extreme depreciation has plummeted that entry point down to just $3,000 to $12,000.
For that totally depreciated price, you are getting some defining American luxury touches. I mean, the DTS was the last factory Cadillac to ever offer a split bench front seat option, a massive throwback. You get standard Bose audio, real walnut wood trim on those Platinum models, heated and cooled front seats, a heated rear seat, dual zone climate, and optional DVD navigation. There's also the optional magnetic ride control active damping, and a wonderfully cavernous interior, especially if you manage to find an Accubuilt DTS-L stretch limo variant. Plus, there is true historical weight here. This marked the literal end of an era. The absolute last Northstar V8 ever produced rolled right off the Detroit Hamtramck Assembly line in July 2011, inside a DTS.
Bottom line, it's a steep depreciation entry into genuine American luxury. All right, Section 3, the issues. It's time to dramatically shift the tone from luxury praise to the gritty and honestly highly expensive reality of actually owning a high-mileage Northstar DTS.
So the crucial point is the critical, fatal flaw baked right into this engine, the head bolt failure. The Northstar uses a cast aluminum block with steel head bolts threaded directly into it. Over time, and we're talking thousands of heat cycles, those aluminum threads stretch way beyond their elasticity, they strip, and they just pull right out of the block. Poof! The clamping force on the engine block totally vanishes, the head gasket blows, and boom, you overheat. Now, while the 2006 to 2011 models were definitely improved over the notorious 90s cars, this risk was never entirely eliminated. And the repair? It requires totally dropping the engine out of the car due to that incredibly tight front-wheel drive packaging, just so you can drill and install TimeSert or Norm's insert steel thread inserts. You are looking at a massive $2,500 to $4,500 repair. It easily runs over $3,500 at a dealer. And if you ignore the cooling system, limp home mode is just going to mask the problem until you completely warp the heads and trigger a catastrophic failure.
But wait, there's more oil on the driveway. The Northstar uses a structural half-case lower block design, and the sealant joining the upper and lower halves frequently fails. This causes a massive lower engine oil leak. Fixing this requires dropping the entire subframe. Oh, and fixing the chronically leaking rear main seal? Yeah, because of that incredibly tight front-wheel drive transverse packaging, it requires the total removal of the 4T80E transaxle just to even reach the seal.
Honestly, even the moderate flaws are going to drain your wallet. Excessive oil consumption is basically an engineering trait at this point. Burning 1 quart every 1,000 miles is completely typical for these. That outdated 4-speed automatic relies on a torque converter clutch solenoid that frequently fails, which gives you this harsh highway shudder, especially compared to rivals rocking 6 or more speeds. Also, the internal chain-driven water pump and elbows can literally leak coolant directly into your oil supply. And don't forget, this engine fundamentally requires premium fuel. Beyond the major components, you're going to be fighting carbon deposits, AC compressor failures, leaking power steering pumps, strut top mount failures, and sticking power seat motors. Inside, expect dashboard cracks from sun exposure, heavily worn leather, infotainment XM module failures, and that inevitable headliner sag. And if you happen to have those advanced magnetic ride control shock absorbers, well, when they inevitably leak, you are staring down the barrel of at least $1,200 per corner to replace them.
Bottom line, a catastrophic overheating history or neglected coolant turns this car into a total write-off.
Section 4. Verdict. Buy. I cannot be any clearer about this. The 2006 to 2011 Cadillac DTS was the last Northstar V8 Cadillac ever produced. It's a transverse, front-wheel drive luxury sedan saddled with a 4-speed automatic in 2011. It has oil consumption literally baked right into the engine design and head bolts that statistically play Russian roulette with your aluminum engine block.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate trap. On paper, you're weighing classic art and science styling, genuine platinum walnut trim, and incredibly soft ride quality against $4,000 of TimeSert inserts. Listen, none of that Bose audio or those split bench seats matter when your engine needs to be physically removed from the chassis just to repair the stripped threads in the block. Sure, maybe you find a 2009 to 2011 platinum trim for under $7,000 with a heavily documented head bolt repair history showing that TimeSerts or Norm's inserts were already installed, a cooling system replaced in the last 30,000 miles, and oil consumption perfectly managed under a quart every 2,000 miles. But honestly, that is an absolute needle in a haystack.
Skip the roulette. Say bye to any DTS without explicit head bolt repair documentation. Say bye to any car burning more than a quart every 1,000 miles. And absolutely say bye to any overheating history. If you really want this exact era of cheap, floaty American luxury, take your $8,000 and cross-shop a Lincoln Town Car. A body-on-frame Panther chassis with a 500,000-mile taxi-proof modular V8 beats Northstar head bolt anxiety every single time. Thanks for joining this explainer. So the real question is, are you willing to risk an engine rebuild just for a taste of old-school Cadillac style, or will you actually count the true cost of cheap luxury?